with a student. We'll have the details.
We're waiting on just a little peek of blue sky on this Thursday morning. More importantly, we've got a freezing cold forecast coming up for the holiday. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And an expanded version of the child tax credit is set to expire in the new year. How it'll affect your budget.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An overcast and foggy Thursday. But that's nothing compared to what we've got headed for us when it comes to opening up the new year. Thanks for joining us on the KOAM News at Noon. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. Michael joins us from the Skywatch Weather Center with a look at first weather.
Yeah, I know, Bronte, it was one of those mornings where it was just kind of blah, if not miserable, but with the rain and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, let's soak in the temperatures that we're having now as we're on a historic pace for the entire month of December, because when we open up 2022, it is going to be a pure taste of winter. Now, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, we're finally done with our fog and the light mist that we had. Beginning to clear out a little bit down to the southeast, and every now and then a little peek of blue sky. Not a whole lot of sunshine though, and that's why we still have temperatures that range in the mid-30s up to the northwest. We are as high as 51 down there. My good friend Mike down in Anderson in McDonald County letting us know that they're actually enjoying a wonderful day. 39 in Pittsburgh, 47 in Miami. I think we're going to even out in the mid-50s. We'll see a high 50, if not a 60 every now and then, but not a whole lot of sunshine. One thing that will do is keep our temperatures very moderate overnight. Now, speaking of overnight, let's jump into New Year's Eve day. Any morning plans or even for the afternoon that you have on Friday going to be absolutely fine. But when we get to Friday night, here's when changes begin to develop. Number 1, here comes the rain. Number 2, just in time to settle in the new year. If you're out and about, need you to be very apprised of this situation. We have a massive cold front that's going to take that precipitation, change it into freezing rain. Even if you're down here, I don't want you to look at that line right now and think it is specific. It very well could be along I-44 by the time we get into Saturday morning. And then we're going to develop some snowflakes after that. It's a 7-day forecast as well that will show you single-digit temperatures from Saturday night into Sunday. Bronte, coming up here in just a little bit, we'll not only wrap up 2021, but also too, some friendly reminders about how cold it's going to be to start 2022.
All right, thanks. A substitute teacher for the Golden City School District has been charged with sexual contact with a student. The woman has been identified as J.C. Bain Stahl Collins. According to court documents, the 22-year-old was charged and arrested on December 9th. A forensic interview was conducted at the Children's Division where the male student disclosed he had a sexual relationship with Collins at his home when his parents were gone. After examining the student's phone, it was shown to contain Collins' contact information and used multiple times to contact her. Police in Arkansas Tuesday night arrested a Missouri boarding school doctor accused of several child sex crimes. They caught 57-year-old David Smock in Harrison, Arkansas, not far from the Missouri border. He had been considered a fugitive for several days. Smock is the longtime physician at Agape Boarding School. The Christian school remains under scrutiny after 5 staffers were charged in September with assaulting students. Smock is charged in 2 Missouri counties with sodomy, child molestation, sexual misconduct involving a child, and enticement or attempted enticement of a child. A judge sentences the suspect in a Carl Junction shooting death. Jeremiah Tyner entered a plea agreement to involuntary manslaughter for the June 2020 shooting death of Amanda Parker. The judge gave Tyner a deferred sentence of 7 years in prison, but Tyner is permitted to opt for a 120-day shock treatment instead. Authorities say Tyner was cleaning a handgun in a mobile home with Parker. Tyner then reached for a rifle that discharged. The bullet struck and killed Parker. Students of the Roy S. Wood Alternative School in Joplin are in need of some extra supplies after many items were distributed ahead of Christmas Day. Economic Security partners with the alternative school to do case management with at-risk youth and their families. Students are given access to a variety of resources and items, things like food and clothing, a place to do laundry, and take showers. A case manager also helps students find housing and jobs. She says junior high and high school age students can often be overlooked when it comes to the kind of help they need.
They're almost like the forgotten kids because they're not quite adults, that they're not quite babies and little kids anymore. They're that in-between age of I'm not quite an adult, so I don't get everything, the services, because I'm not old enough. But I'm not quite a little kid, so I don't get the services because I'm not young enough. They're that in-between stage.
Products are always needed. If you'd like to help out with any of the needs at the Joplin Alternative School, check out this story on our website, koamnewsnow.com, for contact information. Topping Nation Watch, an expanded version of the child tax credit is set to expire next month after Congress failed to reach a deal to extend it. Jan Crawford is in Washington with the potential impact on those people who are getting that money.
It's going to be a big change for a lot of families. There was a tax credit before the pandemic, but it was for less money, it went to fewer families, and it was only paid out during tax season. This temporary child tax credit has been going out every month since July, and some 35 million eligible families have been able to get up to $300 a month per child. The program was paying parents a total of up to $3,600 per child 6 and under, up to $3,000 for each child up to age 17, and it expanded who qualified. But when West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin said he would not support the Build Back Better bill, that also killed a provision to extend the expansion through 2022. That was needed because, according to Columbia University, payments cut child poverty rates by nearly 30% in October alone. Now, it's not clear if lawmakers are going to be able to come up with a compromise on the child tax credit, but with no deal there, there's obviously going to be a gap in monthly payments and more uncertainty for family budgets in the new year. Jan Crawford, CBS News, Washington.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on the KOAM News at Noon, the countdown to the end of 2021. Plus, looking back at the top political stories of 2021, from the attack on the Capitol to challenges against Roe versus Wade. And later, Howard has a sweet new recipe that's well worth the time and effort.
She did.
2021 brought in a new Democratic president and Congress, big off-year state election wins, a major attack on the nation's seat of democracy, and most consequential, challenge to abortion rights in decades. Natalie Brand is in Washington with a look back at the year's biggest political stories.
The U.S. Capitol came under attack 6 days into the new year as a mob of supporters of then-President Donald Trump tried to stop Congress from formally certifying the presidential election results. Lawmakers scrambled to take cover. Many hours later, calm was restored and lawmakers finished their job. The Capitol was on lockdown for weeks before and after Inauguration Day. In the place of crowds, thousands of flags honoring the lives lost to the pandemic lined the National Mall when Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th President of the United States.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
So help me God. Kamala Harris made history as the first woman and first Black and Asian American to become vice president. Former President Trump broke decades of tradition by skipping the inauguration.
We will be back in some form.
Weeks later, the U.S. Senate voted to acquit the former president on a charge of inciting the January 6th assault, ending his second impeachment trial. President Biden got his first legislative win less than 2 months into his term. Congress passed the American Rescue Plan COVID relief bill in a party-line vote, aided by 2 new Democratic senators from Georgia. In November, he had a bipartisan win, signing a long-awaited physical infrastructure bill into law. But his massive social spending and climate bill is stuck in the Senate, weighed down by party infighting, while partisan divisions held back attempts to push through voting rights, police reform, and immigration legislation. The landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion hangs in the balance, with the Supreme Court set to rule by next summer on a Mississippi law that bans the procedure after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The High Court declined to block a Texas state law allowing citizens to sue anyone who facilitates an abortion after about 6 weeks of pregnancy, while challenges continue in lower courts. California Governor Gavin Newsom invoked the Texas abortion law in his campaign as he successfully fought off a recall election in his state. New Jersey's Democratic Governor Phil Murphy narrowly won another term. But Republican Glenn Youngkin's big gubernatorial win in Virginia has some Democrats on edge heading into the 2022 midterm elections. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
Tonight at 5 p.m., taking a look at health through the year of 2021. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
We've got Grandma Alice in the test kitchen today, and she's sharing her tips on how to make her special cheesecake. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss this.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
We're going to come up the top on this Thursday and talk about some national news here as far as flight delays go, whether you're traveling in the next couple of days or maybe you've got family and friends that plan to be up in the air, because this is a developing situation. 726 delays. This is alone today. We've seen about a 500 plane increase in the last 45 minutes alone. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change screens, take us to the live flight cancellations. Look at that second number right there. Total delays into and out of the United States, now eclipsing more than 3,000 flights, and we're only around the noon hour. So I just want everybody apprised of that situation. And really, it's not weather related. Mother Nature being pretty kind to us, considering what we had last week on either of the coasts. This is more Omicron related. Joplin sits at 43 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now. We still do have a wind chill in effect here at the noon hour, about a 5-6 degree difference. But the wind now shifting, blowing in from the southwest. And this is not a bad thing, because now that we're done with the mist and the fog that we had, that humidity hanging at 93%. Earlier this week, Bronte and I were talking about Christmas tree disposal. Today may be one of those key days where if you're in the mood to get rid of that tree, conditions not going to be too bad at all. A little bit of chill out to the northwest, not as bad as what we're going to see though by the time we get to Saturday, warming up into the 50s. 51 in Anderson, 55 right now in Cassville, and we kind of split the difference right along 44, where it's 47 in Miami and 44 in Carthage. All that being said, what we've had for this month of December, it is going to be record-breaking. 2021, December of 2021 will end up being the warmest December on record, not only at Joplin Regional Airport, but also at Martin Johnson Airport in Chanute. And I can say that with confidence with a couple days left in the month. It's not going to get cold enough that it's going to make any difference to drop us down for how warm we've been through the first full 29 days. Jetstream, once again, little movement from what we've had ever since really the beginning of the week. And so our temperatures just kind of stabilize right now. We'll go low to mid 50s for the most part. We may throw up a 60 down in the southern portion of southwest Missouri. Not going to be widespread 60s by any means, but the nice thing about that, with increased cloud cover and a wind shift from the south, nice overnight temps. That'll be about the last time we can say nice overnight temps. So here's what we've got cooking when it comes to New Year's Eve day. We start off in great fashion. No worries if you do have to work tomorrow. As high as 50 degrees in Joplin. A little bit cooler out here because we know that cold fronts are coming. Now for those of you with nighttime plans, we'll develop rain. It'll come in from the south-southwest. It'll be on us all the way from the evening up until midnight. For those of you thinking about staying out after midnight, here's why I need you to be apprised of this situation. Freezing rain works in. The cold front takes all that precipitation, flips it over, and that freezing rain is eventually going to work down to the southeast. There will be hazardous driving conditions. As a matter of fact, we will actually see snowflakes, and we have winter weather watches in effect for the 4 states. Yes, we can say that 36 hours ahead of time. Winter weather watches are in effect. And then Bronte, look at that. Saturday into Sunday, it is time to, number 1, insulate the outdoor pipes. Number 2, make sure your pets are not outside for elongated periods of time.
Definitely. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero. Staff Sergeant Charles Barney served in the U.S. Army and Air Force from 1943 to 1946. Barney served in Berlin, Germany, his hometown, Neodesha, Kansas. We are proud to salute Charles Barney, our 4-state hero. We'll be right back. If you've been craving something sweet before we ring in the new year, Howard's got you covered. It's a made-from-scratch cheesecake. You'll need about an hour to get it done, but it will be well worth it. We're making Grandma Alice's cheesecake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Every month or so, we like to invite some of the best cooks in America into the test kitchen. No, they're not on TV, and no, they don't own a restaurant. But what they are everyday grandmothers who cook from the heart. And joining us today is Grandma Alice, who's here to share her kids' and her grandkids' favorite dessert, her cheesecake. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you.
When I first tasted your cheesecake, not only was it super creamy, you could taste the TLC in every bite.
I started baking when I was very young since my mom loved baking. As I grew up, got married, and had kids of my own, my love of baking only got more intense.
You know, your cheesecake is so delicious. What's your secret?
I start out by beating together some cream cheese, sour cream, sugar, eggs, and a little vanilla. You want to make sure everything is mixed but not overbeaten, or the cake will crack. This goes into a springform pan over a basic graham cracker crust, which I added some cinnamon to. After I bake it and it cools slowly, I top it with some strawberries, and before you know it, my grandchildren are pulling at my apron strings begging for a piece.
To get the recipe for Grandma Alice's cheesecake, all you have to do is go to our website. This is truly amazing. I'm Howard with Grandma Alice in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found Alice's grandchildren, Ben and Lizzie's favorite way to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Now, here's a look at 4 state market prices.
'50s for this afternoon. Everybody on your toes for New Year's Eve day, because as we get closer to midnight, the rain begins to roll in from the southwest, eventually flipping over into freezing rain just in time for New Year's Eve morning. Want everybody to be very, very careful out there. And then from Saturday into Sunday, look at this low temperature. And I wanted to just let Dow know that that is not Celsius.
Yeah, I know.
That's Fahrenheit. Celsius would be what? That'd be about 47, 48 degrees.
Correct. It would be pretty nice if it was Celsius.
Would be nice.
Right. No, that's going to be 9.
Yeah, well.
Well, Dad, what do we have coming up today?
We have to deal with Fahrenheit for starters. But in addition to that, at 5, a look back at the top health stories of 2021. We're going to look back at the biggest health stories of overdose deaths to COVID vaccines and boosters to performing transplants through breakthrough organ transplants. Plus, a Miami woman is scrambling to find a place to live after she's given 2 weeks to leave her rental. And details on a program to help pay your energy bills this winter. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's coming up on KOAM News at 5.
Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.